I took a gamble on a dirt cheap gun, and this time, I got lucky. I'm not ashamed to say that I am a gun buying addict, especially when I see something that is different, obscure, but still has hallmarks of quality that I don't know a lot about, but more importantly, is hard to find out things on the internet about. And this gun is just one of those. I was going through the Holts Sealed Bid online catalogue, which is where I spend far too much time, I am ashamed to say, and yeah, it jumped out at me. I had never seen one like it. I've owned some classic doubles over and unders. I've owned some Winchesters. I saw it, I looked at it, and I thought, got to be worth a go. The information on the internet was pretty limited. Subsequent digging has revealed some facts. This is a classic doubles, model 201, that I bought out of the Holts Sealed Bid a couple of months ago. And I am quite proud of it. I've shot it a few times, as you'll see in a minute. Yeah, it's a 26-inch, 12-gauge, 3-inch chambered side by side with a raised rib, a pistol grip, a single trigger, and ejectors. And it's got an interesting story. The story starts in Tochigi City, Japan, where one of the greatest gun-making facilities ever existed. That, of course, was the Olin Kodencha plant that before Olin got interested was the Nikko Kodencha plant. At first, when Winchester got involved, Nikko and Winchester ran side by side in this plant, but eventually Olin wanted to get out of that factory and out of that business. All of the tooling was there for one of the greatest guns ever built, the Winchester 101 and the Winchester Model 23. Two fantastic, fantastic guns. One of the greatest over and unders of all time, and the other a fantastic side-by-side of the modern era. And so in late 1987, Classic Doubles Inc. became the sole importer and stamper of names of the guns from the Olin Kodencha plant. They continued the 101 under the Classic Doubles name. They added a few other models to the range, changed the engraving, and depending on who you talk to, some would say they're identical quality, some would say that the Classic Doubles were perhaps slightly lesser quality of build. However, the reality is they're pretty much the same. And for the next 2 and a bit years, that is where Classic Doubles built their guns, in Tochigi City, 100 kilometers north of Tokyo. They went out of business in the end. Lack of sufficient sales usually is, that's why most businesses close, isn't it? Lack of turnover, lack of income. This is the not Winchester Classic Doubles Model 201. To understand this gun, you have to understand that there was a gun called the Parker reproduction. The Parker reproduction was a reproduction of the Parker model. The Parker reproduction was made in the Kodencha plant by the same guys that made the Winchester 101 and the Model 23. There was a huge development process around this. They wanted it to be just as good, if not better, than the original. You know, they insisted on action forgings and such things that make a good quality gun. And this is where this gun starts. It's not a Parker reproduction copy. It is nothing like a Winchester Model 23. The similarity is that the action forging for the Parker became the basis for the Model 201. One presumes that is because of the insistence on greater quality and probably a large number of boxes of these forgings lying around. However, that's just speculation. I think they made something like 12,000 Parker reproductions, which is a lot, but you know, not a lot. That is where the similarities end, really, is the same frame, similar hinge system, different trigger system, and I'll go inside this gun with members in the members section at some point. Other than that, it has hallmarks of the Winchester Model 23, namely the way this comes off and some of the spec and feel of it. It has hallmarks of the Parker reproduction and some hallmarks of a Winchester Model 21, mostly the aesthetics. It's a bit of an amalgam of ideas, but I think they've done an alright job. To look at to start with, it probably won't set your heart on fire, but having looked at this gun for many hours now, I have fallen deeply in love with it. Not deeply in love with it, I might add, the sort of love that you have for a car, you know, fond. I've grown fond of it. At the back you have a Pachma Old English. From the pictures I've seen on the internet, that looks like it could be standard. Most of them seem to be fitted with a black heel plate. This could be the original, I do not know. The wood itself is lacquer finished walnut. It looks like American walnut. This particular one has had a life. The lacquer is well chipped, and the checkering is done by hand, and you can tell that because of its slight lack of uniformity, but the quality is plenty good enough. You have a blue grip cap, you have an extended trigger guard that doesn't quite go the full length, and you have a very long skinny neck into a very long curved slightly open grip. But because of the radius of it, you can get your thumb through the top. It's not bad in the hand. What's also interesting is that this cutaway leads itself up into that high comb, which means this gun actually mounts quite well. It's perhaps not as high as it could be to be perfect, but it's higher than most other side-by-sides out there. Stock length is 14.5 inches, just under, which is fine, again, for the majority of humans. It has a selector on the back end. That doesn't feel quite as good as it should, but it's nicely made. It's a little sloppy, but again, this is a potentially 35-year-old gun. It's not going too bad. You have checkered side panels, again, done by hand. And the quality's not supreme, but it's pretty good. Black action, a really long black action. You have a little bit of engraving around the balls of the action and the hinge discs, but for the most part, this gun is a bit of a plain Jane, made beautiful by its lines and its checkering, excessive checkering. Beautiful wood. It's a nice looking gun. You have a massive beaver tail forend with a, again, lovely hand checkering pattern. That beaver tail forend is extremely long, but that again gives you a very good amount of options for holding it, that more modern straight left arm. It suits it. It definitely suits it. And the checkering, as I've said, is very nice. It comes off in the same style as a Model 23. Push down the button, that comes up, and then it just falls off. I really love that system. Having a sprung lever that you have to pull up and down is nice, but there is something quite civilized about just having a little basic catch put in place. The ejector work is in the forend, and this is where it starts to, from the English eye, look a bit funny. Look how far those ejector legs stick out of there. That is a long old way. The system itself is something that I'm not particularly familiar with. I'm led to believe by an American friend that this is a more relatable to an American action than it is an English one. I like the system. It does look a bit fragile with some silly springs and gigantically long ejector legs, and yeah, there's an awful lot of action there that I don't feel needs to be there. But it does look kind of cool. I took this out with Ed Solomons for a cheap gun versus expensive gun episode with him, and he referred to it as looking like the gun out of Army of Darkness. I had never seen it, I then went and watched it. In the film he references that his gun is a Remington, but it's not. It's a Stoker coach gun, it's not a Remington, and it looks a little bit like this in that it has short barrels, a pistol grip, and a black action.
This is my boomstick!
The film itself, I thoroughly enjoyed. Just silly enough. The gun is a factory multi-choke 12 bore. Apparently not many of these were made. About 63. It's nice. It's just an Invector choke, so you can get spares for it. It's currently got some Teagues in there. It'd be nice to either put the wind chokes back in or perhaps something to balance this gun out, because being 26 inch with that raised up rib, we haven't even mentioned the rib. Look how high that rib is. With the double bead sight, it's really not so bad a thing. It's perhaps not a classic beauty, but it's okay. As I've said a couple of times, design-wise, it clearly is designed to appeal to an American eye, and so as a European looking at it, I find it interesting. I don't not like it. The quality of build is definitely there, and that tickles me enough, and the quality of shooting is high. If it's good enough for Ed Solomons, it's definitely good enough for me, but I needed a second opinion, so I took it out with Ant.
I'm not going to say anything yet. I'm going to shoot a couple more targets before I open my trap. I think I found a side-by-side I really like. This handles like a over and under, and it's big in your hand, and it moves slowly, and it doesn't snap about for 26 inch or whatever it is. It's beautiful. I like it. Can I keep it?
No. Interestingly, the three people who've shot it so far, me, you and Ed Solomons, all want it.
I love it. And I hate side-by-sides with a passion. It does feel like you can do a lot with it though, doesn't it? Like, it gives you the confidence to go, I'm going to shoot that early, I'm going to shoot that late.
And it is a bit stabby, like, but imagine 2-inch extended weighted chokes. It's like tits.
It would. It ejects as well. That's a start. What an awesome, awesome bit of kit. I really want to take this out and give it some more stick. I want to shoot some more targets, different targets, see how it handles with those things. And I think I might have found a side-by-side I like.
see anything like it sorted, Holts? Couldn't say no.
Animal. Absolute animal of a gun.
Oh.
Love it.
My turn.
Go on then.
Because I have the option, let's put a ShotKam on. And now I put good money, because ShotKam does add a bit of front end weight to a gun. It will actually be a huge benefit on this little beast.
I would have thought so, yeah. Just put that little bit of front end weight to it, slow you down on your wanging. Oh.
Lucky purchase, I'd say. Could have been absolutely horrific.
Could have been, but it is its own beast, isn't it? This is its own creation. It shoots like an over and under, handles like a side by side. There's got to be a use for that, right?
I'm thinking I might actually invest in this. That it could be made to be extra special, or just leave it as it is.
And use it as a partridge killer. If you went on a partridge day, could you think of anything better to take partridge smashing?
Yeah, I can think of a hell of a lot of things I'd rather take partridge smashing than that.
No, not lowland partridge shooting driven over ancient hedgerows.
You saying you've got this in the cabinet, and your double E double L, and your classic doubles. You own a classic doubles, this is definitely a bit of you. You're not going to take your double E out of partridge shooting. You go, no, I'll take the classic doubles.
Of course I'd take the double E. However, if I was in the mood and I wanted to take something out different and have fun rather than be a square, I'd take this out for a day. Wouldn't you?
One thing you're not.
Yeah.
Square.
Honestly, mate, you've changed my opinion on side by sides. That is your achievement of today. What an absolute weapon.
In short, if you take a side by side, make it feel, handle and look pretty much like an over and under, you're in.
I like it, yeah.
The real problem with this gun is that it is a 26-inch barrel, which makes it too short for target shooting, but the fact that this thing weighs best part of 8 pounds makes it too heavy for hunting, or walked up hunting especially, and even perhaps on peg stuff. I think one could modify it, the multi-chokes, you could stick 2-inch teak heavies in there or something along those lines to add the weight, and when we put the ShotKam on, that extra weight actually turned this gun into a real demon. You don't need the long barrels for the longer range, but it just helps with a smooth swing in that modern way of shooting. It is an absolute beast, this gun, and I must admit, as I've said at the beginning, really I've fallen a bit smitten with a gun that doesn't deserve this much love. When I was putting my bids in on this gun, I was nervous, to say the least. The thing could have been a big waste of money. I put £285 plus commission on it and won it. I'd obviously looked at the values online, and so I knew that I wasn't going to be massively out of pocket if it was a complete dog. It's not in the best of conditions, but what if the gun was awful? It's not going to be an easy sell over here. But it turns out, just from a usability perspective, it's a great gun. It's really nice to shoot, it operates well, and being built in the Odin Codenture plant, it is solidly built. What really surprised me was the American value on these things. I'm hearing people sell ones in good condition for $2,500. I didn't think that the classic doubles name really warranted that much collectability value, so it must just be based around the fact that this is a single trigger, high rib, reliable gun that looks half decent. And to be fair, that is just enough. This is the gun for people who hate side-by-sides, who want to shoot a side-by-side. The big question is, do we do something to it? I just think it's kind of nice as it is. I like the fact that it's in somewhat original condition, however battered. However, I also know with a good oil finish and a stock extension and the bigger chokes at the end, this gun would be dangerous. It's already pretty dangerous. I don't know, I'll let you decide. Is it worth investing in, or do we leave it original? Guys, thank you so much for watching. This could be the best purchase I've ever made at Holts. It was very reasonably priced. It was really nice to shoot, and it was curious enough, and there was a lack of information enough to keep me occupied for many hours. I think the saddest part of the story is that the classic doubles Codenture partnership only lasted a matter of a couple of years, and thereafter I believe that some manufacturing was brought back to America, and that didn't quite go so well, given that they couldn't make it cheaply enough in Japan or to a good enough standard for the market to be interested, or perhaps they didn't market it well enough. I'd love to know what the actual story is there, because I've heard so many conflicting things. Anyway, nowadays the Codenture factory is a parking lot, a car park, which is kind of heartbreaking. One of the final reasons I really like this gun is that it represents the last of an era. I am a massive Winchester 101 fan. Those things were unreal. They won world championships back then, and now they're kind of disregarded and undervalued. I own one. The classic doubles represent the last tendrils of that gun and that relationship and that company. But I suppose times move on. Once upon a time, Tochigi City was more of an industrial hub. Now, from my research on the internet, it seems like it's more valuable for its cultural heritage and its natural beauty. And that's fine too. I suppose the only way that this lives on is through the modern Winchester 101 that's not really a 101. Sad, eh? But you can go buy one. Good luck finding many of these in the UK, but they are available en masse in the USA. I am extremely happy with this. I think I've had 6 people try to buy it off me already. Just sometimes you get lucky, which is why it's worth putting in the hours hauling through gun websites if you're into guns, collecting guns, or just looking for some curio or bargain. Yeah, this was a Holts win. Thank you for watching, guys. This channel is made possible by our amazing sponsors. You can find out more about them in the description down below. And if you want to support the channel, you can join as a member. You get loads of extra content, well, some extra content, and occasionally we hook up and go clay shooting together as a membership group. If you don't feel like joining today, we really appreciate you watching and subscribing. Have a wonderful day.